In this video, I'm going to be comparing the Bambi franchise to the Brother Bear franchise. Both of these are from Disney Animation. They each have only 2 movies. I've now seen all 4 of these movies. When you look at the highest score for each franchise, in the case of Bambi, highest score is a 91% for the original film. With Brother Bear, the highest score is actually 50% for Brother Bear 2. Bambi wins here. Then when you look at lowest score, in the case of Bambi, the direct-to-video sequel, the second film, only has a 44%. In the case of Brother Bear, the original movie only has a 37%. Bambi wins again. Then when you look at average score, Bambi has an average of 67. Brother Bear only has an average of 43. So Bambi wins again. Then we look at gap between lowest and highest score. In the case of Bambi, you have a fairly, anyway, big gap of 47% between those 2 scores. With Brother Bear, you only have a gap of 13, so Brother Bear wins this round, but already because Bambi won 3 rounds, it's going to win this debate regardless of my personal opinion. But let's look at it. Which franchise do I prefer? In the case of Brother Bear, I think this movie has too low of a score on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know where that's coming from at all. I think that you have an engaging story here about this guy named Kenai who's living during the time of the Stone Age, where you have all these people that are using spears or living in huts. We see a Kenai as 2 brothers, but then an accident happens that leads to one of the brothers dying. Kenai ends up stabbing this bear with a spear because he thinks the bear is responsible for his brother's death. Then the other brother at first isn't able to let go of anger. He's just out trying to get payback for his brother's death. But then what's heartwarming is we see that by the end of the movie, the family has been healed. Kenai actually ends up being turned into a bear by the spirits because he killed a bear. And so then Kenai takes a journey into perspective taking, where he actually understands what the bears are really like. And he sees, oh, they're actually not monsters. They're not just these mindless animals that attack for no reason. No, they actually have families. Just humans see them as animals that attack. They don't actually think that the bears are intelligent or that they can talk, but Kenai learns, oh, they actually can. And he also meets this little bear cub named Coda, who really annoys him at first, but then Kenai learns to care about Coda. By the end, he sees Coda as his brother, and then by the end of the movie, the brother who had died comes back in the form of a spirit. We see his spirit for a little bit, and without needing to actually say anything, you get that this guy is saying, hey, this is not what I want. You need to let go of that anger so you can move on and actually heal. And that's what ends up happening by the end of the movie, of this brother who is just out hunting all this time. Also, Kenai actually chooses to continue being a bear. He's been transformed by the experience of being a bear. I like the way this movie looks. I think the voice acting is really well done. And then with Brother Bear 2, I think this is a solid follow-up to Brother Bear. I like that we learn about this girl that Kenai used to know years back, but then they both moved on after they had this bond as kids. Kenai actually ends up going on a journey with this girl because she learns that there's this amulet that needs to be burned that then will allow me to marry this guy named Afka. But then she realizes by the end of the movie, oh, this is not what I truly want. I don't actually want to marry this guy. I actually want to be a bear as well. So she ends up being changed into a bear by the end of the movie. So her, Kenai, and Coda are now a family. And also we see that by the end, this girl's village has learned to actually understand that bears are not just mindless, unintelligent creatures to be hunted down. No, they actually are kind creatures in the world of Brother Bear. And so it's really heartwarming by the end that we see Kanai and this girl basically get married as bears, and then both the other bears as well as the people of the village are all together actually celebrating this marriage. It's really heartwarming. And also I like for Koda, when this girl comes back in the picture, he at first thinks that Kanai has forgotten all about him. There's clearly insecurity there, but then Koda realizes that actually Kanai absolutely hasn't forgotten about him, still considers him to be a brother, and then things work out really well when the movie ends. So I have no idea at all what critics are thinking. That's rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. With Bambi, I really like both movies. They're certainly not complicated. They're more simple, straightforward. There isn't even really a clear villain in either movie. I mean, you have some humans that are bad news for our main animals, but there's not one character that's clearly the villain that you remember. No, instead there's just humans that have guns. The first movie is really well known for the fact that Bambi's mother dies. It's really sad. And then you have this journey for Bambi where he's trying to figure out, where do I belong now? Where do I have a home? And then the second movie, it's about his father, who's the great prince. So he is more of a dignified deer because of his position. And then throughout the movie, the great prince learns to actually care about his son, bond with him. You see that by the end of the movie, they actually have a good relationship. I think it's really heartwarming. So when it comes to which franchise I prefer, this is an interesting one because I like both Bambi and Brother Bear. So no matter which one I pick, I'm not throwing shade at the other franchise at all. I think I would say that I would choose Brother Bear just because I think it's a really interesting idea. I like the themes that's exploring about grief, perspective taking, all these different things. Inherently, there's certainly a bit more going on with Brother Bear compared to Bambi. That's more about the cycle of life, you could say. I think Bambi is really well done. I think it visually looks good. I like the voice acting. I think it's an interesting story, but I just like Brother Bear a little bit more. So I'll wrap things up for this video. Bye, everyone.